laugh like hell. Let's have some fun doing it. That's a big part of it. But let's just don't waste any time or energy. It's all about winning. Please reflect that each and every day.
It's time for another edition of the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones inside the Academy Sports and Outdoors studios here at the Star in Frisco. And inside Ford Center, we are joined by Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy as the New York Giants are in town. A 3:25 kickoff on Sunday at AT&T Stadium. And, Coach, this is the first of 3 matchups against NFC East teams over the course of the next 4 weeks. Obviously, it's very important to win your games in your division. How much do you stress that to the players as you got them back together this week?
It's definitely an emphasis. If you look at the win percentage on the importance of winning your division games and how it applies to making the playoffs. So this is definitely a focal point. Clearly, you put more into your division opponents each and every year because obviously you play all 3 teams both times. So this will be our first opportunity in a division game. But there's a statistical breakdown and emphasis that goes into it. But at the end of the day, you have 2 football teams that are in the first year of a staff, and our biggest focus is to take a big step in self-improvement.
When you talk about statistical breakdowns, one of the biggest is turnover margin in this league. It's one of the things you talked about after the game last week against Cleveland. And when you look back at your time in Green Bay, that was one of the hallmarks of your Packers team. Year in and year out, you had a wide disparity on the positive side as far as turnover margin. What is it about a team that gets you in the positive on that? And are there certain traits that a team has? Is this something that you hammer away at and eventually those turnovers, the takeaways come?
I mean, every coach in the league emphasizes turnover ratio. We all understand the importance of it to your success as a football team. Since my time as a head coach, starting back in 2006, I've always looked at how do I improve the skill development, the fine motor skill development, that the characteristics that it takes to take care of the football and how to take it away. So you're always trying to develop different drills. Keep emphasizing. I think we're doing a good job in the practice structure with that. But at the end of the day, I believe in the process of it. In my time in Green Bay from 2006 to 2018, we were plus 103. As doing the comparable from 2006 to 2019 in Dallas to minus 26. So I think you have to, always look for, this is how it was done then. A lot of things work, but this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're training. That's the process we're in. That's what's so frustrating with the fact that we are -7. It's the first drill that we do as a team each and every day. So it has to transfer to the game field, to the games, and that hasn't happened yet. But we need to do a much better job. We're off to a hard start.
In fact, a couple of years in Green Bay in 2009 and 2011, you were plus 24 each of those years in turnover ratio. Let's talk about the Giants. Let's talk about the quarterback, Daniel Jones. He threw 24 touchdown passes last year. Young quarterback in this league. What do you see in him?
I'll tell you, really like the player. I think he's definitely playing with a lot more maturity just in the first 4 games compared to last year. I had a chance to watch him a bunch last year. He's obviously tall in the pocket, can make a lot of throws, very athletic. He does a good job extending plays. His completion percentage is definitely up compared to last year. So I think he's definitely a rising young quarterback. It'll be a big challenge for us Sunday.
All right, we're just getting started on this edition of the Mike McCarthy Show. Up next, it's David Moore, the Dallas Morning News.
A little bit with Daniel Jones in terms of when things break down, he can take off and make plays with his feet a little bit.
Yes, sir. I believe it is. I don't think he moves quite like Russell, but he has good speed. He has good size. And when things break down, you see him getting outside the pocket and making things happen. And they also run a zone read with him as well, so that gives you an indicator of his athletic ability.
The Mike McCarthy Show, presented by Reliant, is brought to you by AT&T. Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Built for Texas, built for you. The University of North Texas, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. And by Reliant, an NRG company. This segment is brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Welcome back to the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones inside the Academy Sports and Outdoors studios here at the Star in Frisco. Now joined by David Moore of the Dallas Morning News, SportsDayDFW.com. And David, are the New York Giants just what this team needs to see this week?
If they're not, it's going to be some interesting conversations going on in DFW next week. I just think where the Cowboys are right now, the problems they're struggling with defensively, I thought Cleveland was a difficult matchup for them last week. I don't get the sense that the Giants should be a difficult matchup for them this week. And part of that is we know this defense hasn't gotten its feet on the ground yet. That's very clear. They'll be the first to tell you that. But, this New York Giants offense, with the loss of Saquon Barkley, with a young, inexperienced offensive line, they don't have a lot of weapons to exploit the Dallas defense. And in fact, coming into this game, the Giants have scored 47 points all season, which is 2 fewer points they've scored the entire season that Cleveland did on Sunday. So I just don't think they're equipped to expose this Cowboys defense at this time, the way Cleveland was and the way Seattle and Atlanta were before that.
So what can be done to fix this Dallas defense here in the middle of the season, or at least to help this Dallas defense?
Yeah, I think you need a game or two. This has been such a discouraging stretch for them. They need to start feeling better about themselves, better about the system, to have more places in the film study and review on Monday and Tuesday where the coaches can point to this and say, yeah, this is exactly what you want to do. This is what we're looking for. They haven't had enough of those moments. I think a big factor here is, and this goes back to the negative patterns we talked about last week repeating themselves. They did it again in this latest game against Cleveland. You've got to cut down on the turnovers. They're a -7 on turnover ratio. Opponents have turned those into 45 points. And 2, you have to play with a lead. This team has only had 7 snaps all season when it's been playing with a lead. If Dallas gets out in front, then suddenly Ezekiel Elliott doesn't disappear from the offense in the second half. He's a prime member of the offense in the second half as you manage the clock and keep your defense off the field. And I think that's what this Cowboy team desperately needs this weekend against the Giants.
And the Giants start a stretch of 3 out of the next 4 games against NFC East opponents, so it's all there for them over the course of the next month. David Moore, we appreciate it, and the Mike McCarthy Show continues in a moment as we look at turnover margin and how can the Cowboys turn that around. Next.
This segment was brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Welcome back to the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. The best way the Cowboys can turn things around against the New York Giants, the 3:25 kickoff at AT&T Stadium on Sunday, is to turn around the turnover margin. Here's Rob Phillips with more.
Beware of statistics in football. They can get bent and twisted to shape a particular opinion. But this stat never lies. Turnover margin. After 4 games, the Cowboys are ranked last in turnover margin at -7. They're tied for the most turnovers with 9. They're tied for the second fewest takeaways with 2. The result? A 1-3 start to the season. The Cowboys' first 4 opponents scored 45 points off those 9 turnovers. On the flip side, the Cowboys scored only a field goal off of 2 defensive takeaways. That's a 42-point swing for a team that's lost 3 games by 21 total points. No stat has a larger impact on the outcome of a football game.
I would say we've gotten behind early in games, and that's just because we've turned the ball over. So I think just as long as we don't turn the ball over, we're turning the ball over, giving them short fields and putting them in position to go score and get leads on us. So, we just have to take care of the ball early in the game.
In the past 20 years, the Cowboys have posted a negative turnover ratio 11 times. They've missed the playoffs all but once. They need more takeaways on defense, and on offense, they've got to protect the rock. For DallasCowboys.com, I'm Rob Phillips.
All right, thanks, Rob. And up next here on the Mike McCarthy Show, we're joined by Will McClay. It's brought to you by WinStars. Will takes a look at Giants quarterback Daniel Jones to start things off.
Today we're going to take a look at a very valuable member of the Giants offense, Daniel Jones, and we're going to take a look at Leonard Williams on the defensive side. Then we're going to take a look at Daniel Jones' arm strength. One of the things you talk about with an NFL quarterback is the ability to make the deep out throw from the far hash. You see him on the far hash here. Now you're going to see a deep out to the top of the screen, but also the anticipation of the throw before the receiver makes the break and a strike. Here we're going to take a look at Daniel Jones' ability to take what the defense gives him. They set the defense up. It's a run-heavy formation. There's single high. You see the safety there. They're going to run a vertical route. He's going to drop back, play action, read the safety. Safety disappears. Now he throws a deep strike in the position that only the receiver can get it. Here's an element of Daniel Jones' game within the offense that we're going to have to contend with. He's a mobile player. They're going to use him on quarterback runs. You'll take a look at one here. They're going to run a zone read. They're going to read off a 92 highlighted in the pink there. The tight end's going to come across. You'll see the motion. He's going to read the end. It says pull. He pulls it, and then he uses athletic ability to get a 17-yard run. Here we're going to take a look at Leonard Williams, the defensive tackle for the Giants, who's a force on their front line. Here he's going to be playing the double team, taking on two bodies, but you'll see him split it and make a play in the hole. Here he is, double team, splits it, clogs up the hole, negative play. Part of being a great defensive lineman is doing jobs that don't show up on the stat sheet, but it helps your defense be successful. We're going to look at him here, set the edge. The tight end's going to come down and block on him, but he's going to take up another blocker, which allows a free guy to make the tackle. There he is. He smashes the tight end, takes on that tight end, and allows a linebacker to run free and make a negative play. Now we're going to take a look at Leonard Williams rushing the passer. There's not going to be a lot of flash. What you're going to see is straight power here. He's going to bull rush the tackle. Here we go right here. Straight bull rush, pushes him back into the quarterback, and then the presence to grab a hold and get a sack. Just taking a look at two of the Giants that we have to stop in order to have success on Sunday.
Thanks, Will. And up next here on the Mike McCarthy Show, the head coach rejoins us, and we take a closer look at this New York Giants defense.
Yeah, it has been tough. We've been getting ourselves behind the 8 ball early, and so we haven't been able to be in more of a tradition, just a normal offense in the second half. So we just got to make sure that we take care of the ball early. We come out hot, and we start fast.
Welcome back to the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios as the coach rejoins us. And let's talk about these New York Giants, coached by Joe Judge. You mentioned earlier in the show, of course, he in his first year at the helm of the Giants. How much does it do for your team, and in fact all teams around the NFL, now that all the teams have 4 games under their belt? You got something to go on, especially when you're dealing with playing against a first-year coach.
It's definitely different. Difference as you look at the league in the first 3 to 4 games, something that's been charted for decades. You usually operate between 30 to 35% of the plays in a game are unscouted looks. Because everybody has an off season. They're changing their offense, defensive schemes, tweaking it. You have new players that are added. So there's obviously more change there. So now the fact that everybody has 4 games on film, you do have a pattern of how they're utilizing their players, which schemes are at least the starting point, as far as their base schemes, and now you're starting to see the variations come off of those schemes. So it's definitely different in week 5 than it is in week 1, 2, and 3.
When you look at this Giants defense, they have invested in their front 7 with first-round draft picks, former first-round picks on their defensive line, and a guy in the middle at linebacker you're very familiar with, Blake Martinez, who you drafted at Green Bay and one of the top tacklers in this league since coming into the league. And when I hear Blake Martinez being interviewed, it sounds like he really ups his game. He looks forward to facing Zeke Elliott, at least with his time in Green Bay. He always said that.
Well, Blake's an outstanding football player. Extremely intelligent. He really came into into Green Bay and pick things up so quickly. So he's definitely an asset to the Giants defense. He can run the whole thing. Excellent communicator, and as you've already stated, I mean, very, very productive tackler in every year that he has started. So he's definitely doing a heck of a job commanding in the middle.
So how nice was it having number 77, Tyron Smith, back at left tackle last week?
Well, I mean, it was great. We didn't really worry about anything going on the left side, and that's a huge advantage for an offense. It's something that if you can ever just cut the protection or the run game stresses in half, it definitely helps you. So it was great having him back.
And looking at your offensive line, of course, Joe Looney goes out first play of the game last week. Tyler Biadasz, the rookie, comes in and plays the rest of the game and really played much of the game the week before. He really is making progress as a first-year guy in this league, isn't he?
I agree with everything you just said. He's a young man that's just really picked up our system very quickly. He's a natural center. Obviously he's been playing there his whole life. So I think he's done an excellent job every time he's been given an opportunity. And you could just always tell, the first step is the efficiency of the communication, obviously the snap count, the exchange with the quarterback, and he kept us in a rhythm, and obviously to be very productive on offense to give us a chance to come back and win that game.
And speaking of rookies, last week C.D. Lamb had not one but two touchdown grabs, the first of his career. You talk about a guy who has made the transition smoothly. C.D. Lamb is at the head of the class, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's a natural. He's stepped in day one and just beyond his years, maturity as both a professional and as a player. So, no surprises there. He's doing an excellent job, and he'll just continue to get better.
All right, when we come back here on the Mike McCarthy Show, we meet one of the new faces on this Cowboys coaching staff.
What's been Coach Philbin's approach in the room with all the injuries you guys have dealt with? How has he, what's his approach been like in trying to kind of hold things together for you guys going, the first few weeks here?
Yeah, I think the best thing, Coach Philbin does is he's consistent every day. No matter who's out there, he expects a lot from us. He expects us to work, and he prepares guys, whoever's out there. So that's been the biggest thing for me is we've tried not to make a big deal about it and not think about it. Just prepare the guys who are available to play that week.
Final couple of minutes here of the Mike McCarthy Show, and let's meet your defensive line coach, Jim Tomsula. Coach, I met him when I was doing NFL Europe games back in 2004. At that time, he was the defensive coordinator of the Berlin Thunder. And what impressed me about him as much as anything, in the fall, he was coaching at his alma mater, Catawba College in North Carolina, and in the spring, he went over to NFL Europe. That's the kind of coach this guy is. This guy loves the game of football.
No question. Jimmy and I go way back to our Pittsburgh days, and he's all football. I mean, I can't say enough about him and his enthusiasm, and he's got a great story. He's got a great story, and he's been just such an excellent addition to our staff, and he's a fine football coach and even a better guy. So, like I said, it's great to have him here.
And, of course, went to the 49ers, became the head coach at the 49ers. Isn't it great having that kind of experience on your coaching staff, and you have it across the board on your staff?
No, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a focus, putting the staff together. There was a level of experience and expertise that I wanted to attain, and then there was a definite outlook on how to bring it all together as far as the mixture of young coaches and experience, because I think it's important to always look at whether it's the players and the coaches, there's always got to be a growth component to it, and I really like the diversity of our staff as far as the experience and the youth, because it gives us a chance to grow.
All right, Coach, good luck against those Giants at AT&T Stadium, 3:25 on Sunday.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us for the Mike McCarthy Show, and we will see you again next week.
The Mike McCarthy Show, presented by Reliant, was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Built for Texas, built for you. Bank of America, the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.